Hello, it's Tamara Hunter, and today is day number 109 of 365 Days of Awesome. Celebrate success through service. And I have a service hero that is actually an international television star. He has his own television show. He is multilingual. This man is a man of the world. Yet he is a man with a huge heart. I met him through our service hero of yesterday, Kim O'Neill. And she let me know that he was doing this really cool event, a digital event that was raising funds for his nonprofit. And she said, "Would you like to be a guest?" And I was like, "I'm all in." So that's how I met our service hero of today, Angel RIbo. Is that how I say your name correctly?
Oh, it's perfect. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So let's talk. We met because you were doing this amazing, like a 24-hour, or was it how many hours, back-to-back, digital, nonstop fundraising for this entrepreneurial program that you've got going on. I'd love for you to just tell us the inspiration, everything about it, because when I found out about it, I was like totally fascinated, and I was just like, I like this guy.
Thank you. No, thank you. It was. I mean, obviously, your love was corresponded. Let's put it this way, because so basically, through a spiritual experience in 2015. It was very clear to me that what I had to do in my life was to help underprivileged kids in Latin America become entrepreneurs using their local resources. So everything that had happened in my life before that date, it was actually March 21st in 2015, just made sense. Everything made sense suddenly in my life. So when you and I met, actually, and you're absolutely right. So 4 days before, I said I have to do something really disruptive to help our underprivileged kids in Latin America. And what we did is, okay, so let's do a marathon. Let's organize a marathon as opposed to running or walking. What we're going to do is we're going to be 20 hours straight interviewing as many people as possible that they want to share their awesomeness, their experience with kids and with entrepreneurship. And that's what we did. And actually, I have to be extremely grateful that you were kind enough to, with only a few hours, you were able to join, and you were able to be one of these 60 people that we interviewed. And I woke up at 3 a.m. that day. So we were like from 4 a.m. until, it was supposed to be 20 hours. Eventually it was almost 21 hours because the last interview, we just couldn't stop it. We just couldn't, stop the marathon because it was a really amazing experience for supporting all those kids in Latin America.
I love it. Now tell us about your program that supporting children in Latin America to become entrepreneurs. That's genius. What and you were inspired to start this, you said in March of 2015, did you say?
Yes.
And so and we've even got people jumping on right now. So this is really great. I'm glad that we did this today because I want people to see your enthusiasm for this program.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So tell us more about the program, and I know that you grew up actually in Spain, didn't you say?
Absolutely.
And yet you are doing this in another part of the world than you grew up. So why don't I'm curious. Let's hear the story. There's got to be one.
Exactly. So very early on, for some reason, I was born in Spain, 1 hour away from Barcelona, northeast of Spain, in a place called Lleida. And since I was a kid, my mom and dad were really, really, really wanting me to learn foreign languages. At that part of Spain, the main language we were learning, because it's still very close to the French border, was French. So I was in middle school. As I started middle school, I started learning French, and I went up until high school learning French, and I was able to use French. But at the same time, out of school, mom and dad decided to put me into a private school for English. So I was able to learn to learn French and English at the same time. In 1982, I went to the UK, I went to Great Britain, to Scarborough to learn English for a summer. And that made the largest difference in my life because for the first time I was able to speak English without having to translate, just, throw it out there.
Natural? Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
That was 1982. And then, as I had learned so many languages, I found myself at the late 90s that I had to find a job outside Spain to use all my, let's say, language potential and international experience. And then I got a job in London working for an American company. And as I was taking a vacation in Mexico and Cuba after a sales bootcamp for that company I was working with in London, I was finishing reading a book called The Celestine's Prophecy. I don't know if you've ever read that book, Celestine Prophecy. It's a very nice book from a guy called James Redfield.
It sounds familiar. Keep going, because I've read so many. I am a book geek, but I don't know. Why. I have to go look it up. But go ahead.
Yeah, no. So that when I finished reading that book basically speaks about that we are all one and energy is everywhere and we are energy. It's such a beautiful book. It made such an impression on myself that I said it was 2001 already, and I was in Cuba at that time, and I said, hey, this is a sign. I have to come to Latin America to live. So I told my managers in London, hey, I want to go to Latin America to live. Would you have a spot for me? They said, yes, we have one in Mexico City. And that's how, being from Spain, I ended up working for an American company in Mexico. And I started my, and then living in Mexico, I started to travel all over Latin America and to travel more often to America, to North America, to the US. And that was the starting point. I mean, fast forward, Tamara, the last time I counted, it was 34 countries that I have conducted business on. And that's why, in 2015, I said, all those places where I had been, most of them really poor countries.
Right.
Places where, in Latin America, I used to go to all those places with so many, plants and manufacturing plants I used to serve with the company I was working with. So that made such a very strong impression on me. So when I had that spiritual experience in 2015, it was very clear to me I had to use all my, expertise in foreign languages and in traveling and getting to know people, all my friends, all my partners, all my clients in all those places. I had to use them all together to help underprivileged kids in Latin America become entrepreneurs.
I love it.
Thank you.
So when did you actually become a 501c3?
That was in 2017, last year.
Okay. So me too. So
awesome.
I'm on that same track with you on that one. And so your marathon, your digital marathon that was nearly 21 hours, you had a very big goal. I know I actually looked it up, and at least on the GoFundMe page, it showed that you have a $1 million goal for your nonprofit. Now, I don't know if the number that was there was the number that also incorporates what you were able to raise in your fundraiser online. So I'd love to hear how you did with your 21 hours online.
Yeah. So, number one, I have to say that, well, we are entrepreneurs, right? So
right.
We learn as we go. This marathon, the main goal of the marathon was to raise awareness for the marathon. And it was actually the first time I was going live, asking for donations. It was the first time ever we did that. Typically, we get donations or we use our own, the three
right.
founders, the three co-founders of Wisdom for Kids. We contribute and we have a lot of people that contributes to our cause all the time in many different ways. So that was the main goal. At that point in time, we didn't have any GoFundMe campaign, but thank you for going there and look at it. So we just asked for donations. Actually, I have to also to say that I was so into the marathon because I had my computer, my cell phone. I was inviting everybody. I was putting everybody online. So it wasn't as nice, as beautiful, and as clean as your system here. So I was doing everything.
Yeah, I know. But I was so impressed I mean, I have to tell you, you're making it sound like, okay, you're not giving yourself enough credit for as organized as I saw it. Because yes, I heard that it was a last minute thing. My friend Kim, she says, after what I had shared with her in my personal story, and then I was able to share it with you with your people in regards to my own kids, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'll sign up. I will, and it gives me my time, and then it gives me my reminder, then it gives me where I go. The only thing I didn't know is I had to be on my phone. And so, that was where we ended up having a little bit of a snafu. And we have one of our Service Hero sponsors that's just meant to come on board with us here.
Nice.
And so, as fast as you did it, and not having a system like this, Be Live TV, you did a great job. I was so impressed. And then you said you had 60 people that you interviewed?
And there were many people that unfortunately we had issues with. I mean, I had people in Australia, in Europe, in Latin America, in North America. I was basically, I mean, here where I am now, that just the same place. I had a wireless keyboard for my cell phone. Everything I was conducting with my cell phone, because that's the only way to actually bring someone onto a conversation using Facebook Live.
Right.
And then I have my computer, and it was answering at the same time email, Facebook Messenger, and WhatsApp chat. All those things together at the same time, and all the text that I was copying and pasting from Evernote. And then, I had to turn the cell phone all the time, back and forth, so it would have the right, orientation of the screen. So, but I am a big proponent, and I use this with my clients all the time. I am a big proponent of imperfect action. No matter what it takes, I am insane enough to do anything. I
get you. Yeah. You just got to do it. It's going to be
exactly
messy, but you just got to do it. And it's the kids that you have in mind, right?
Absolutely.
This whole thing is about them. And
exactly.
And that's what I love. I love the fact that you're taking that imperfect action and you're just doing it. And you're saying, okay, this is the goal, to get these kids to have the skills. And you were raising awareness. I love that. Raising awareness of the fact that you're out there, you're making that stand. You're with me. We're considered the newer kids on the block. Because if anybody goes and checks us out, yeah, we are the real deal, but we don't have those years of audits yet, right? To share that information. But, having a nonprofit that's all about making a difference in the world, I think that should be enough. But, there's all these different agencies. And I love the fact that you just said, okay, I'm just doing it. We're going forward. So now you've done your first live web or event, fundraising awareness event. And what is different today than was before the event? Do you have more people, more awareness? What has there been much of a change?
Yeah. So it's again, we're all energy, as we're all energy. So when you put so much energy onto something, a lot of things happen. A ton of things happen. So, the rest of the team, obviously the rest of our organization, as we decided to do this last minute, and I said, I'm going to go. I know you guys have already all other things on your calendar. I had friends that out of nowhere were from 8 a.m. So 4 hours after we started, just reposting and resharing and reposting and resharing. And so that's number one. So the amount of people that got together with us, came together with us, and they are still with us, it's like suddenly we had 20 more volunteers, just like that.
Yes.
Just like that. So people that are there for us, with us, no matter what. I mentioned donations during the conversations, but not during all the conversations, probably during maybe 20% or 25% of the conversations. Just just because, I know how important, obviously, the kids are for us, and we need the money, obviously. But it's this, that this limiting belief that it's hard to ask money, even if it's for someone that needs it. And for us, it's extremely easy. We are so effective that only with $9.99, we changed the life of one kid in Latin America and his family forever, just $9.99. But, it was the first time they were doing it. So we raised a few $1,000s thanks to that, Thank you, Sharon. So we raised a few $1,000s. So the GoFundMe campaign is actually a consequence of acknowledging the power that the things that we could do thanks to that marathon. Okay. So something else that obviously we realize is that we have so many more friends like you that have a big heart, a big mission in their lives, that we are all in this together. Your mission, Tamara, is my mission, is our mission. Right. That's how we feel. So that's something else that happened immediately during and after that marathon. And something else that happened is actually, let me tell you, we used to have 2 weekly board meetings of Wisdom for Kids. We were so excited about everything that we accomplished that since then we are having daily meetings. So the board of Wisdom for Kids is meeting daily, and we have literally multiplied by 10 our speed, the things we're doing. I mean, just last week we were somewhere else in the north of Mexico, a very difficult area from a security standpoint, right? From a safety standpoint.
Oh, yeah.
But we still go. Exactly. We're all in this together. Thank you, Tina.
Right.
So we still went there. So we keep on going and doing scouting, to all those places where we know there's need. There's need for kids, to have another reason to live, another reason to be happy and to enjoy their lives and to contribute to their families and to their communities. So what has changed in Wisdom for Kids just has been amazing. Several people inviting us to several events, several conferences, offering us booths for free to be there, just to, send our message and our mission. Again, it's like all 3 founders of Wisdom for Kids, we come from different avenues, but we all are very complementary. We spent from 2015 until 2017, we spent 2 years just working on the workshop for the kids.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so those kids that you see in there, those are from a suburban area. You will see that it's not very common for us to post pictures from kids just because we really want to, preserve their security. We are very, very cautious about that.
So I understand.
You obviously understand that. Exactly. But when we are in front of them, our workshop, the initial workshop to take them into an entrepreneurship, journey is completely unconventional. It's very high energy. We do jumping, we do working out, we do dancing, we do singing, we do storytelling, we do meditating, we do affirmations. I mean, we do all sorts of things that keep the energy up of all those kids. So we really, really, really make, we bond with those kids forever. And they, when they take the booklet that we give them at the end of the event, we know for a fact that we've changed their lives forever. And we will go back to those communities. We notice that.
So how long do you think, and what ages are these kids? And then how long do you feel that this program takes to percolate for them to be able to start at, step 1 and then work through and then get to a point where they can actually have their own little business, whatever it may be that they choose to do in their community, thus helping to change the whole dynamic, the whole economics of their world. I mean, their immediate life.
Exactly. So, I mean, first, let me throw a number to you, which is 81 million kids in Latin America live in poverty. 81. And that represents 45% of the entire kids population, children population. That means that when you go to Latin America and you see, let's say you go to the beach on, to Puerto Vallarta or to Cancun or to Riviera Maya, and you see 2 kids, the likelihood that at least one of them lives in very conditions, and their privileged conditions is huge. So that's the number one thing. So we have like three different stages that we take the kids to. We have the kids grouped by ages in three different age groups. It's from 7, it's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Those are the three age groups. And we have three stages. So the initial stage is a 2-hour workshop, again, very unconventional, but it is a workshop in which we give them, we give them the basic knowledge that they are really wise. They are wise, wise kids, that their wisdom is inside of them. A wise kid translates a little bit different in English, but that's why we picked the name Wisdom for Kids as opposed to, wise kid, because that has the other connotations in English.
Right,
but yeah,
right.
but we tell them that they all carry a wisdom inside of them, and we tell them that whatever they decide to do in their lives, it's going to be great, and they're going to be really, kids of wisdom,
Right.
children of wisdom.
So what you're a foundation of belief in self, a positive
Exactly.
self-affirmation type of a program to lay a strong base for then the next phase.
Yes. So on that workshop, that first workshop, we identify who are the kids who are more ready or more willing to become entrepreneurs. Not everybody is willing or is ready.
No, it's not for everyone.
Even the conditions
Right.
at home to do that, so there's a lot of different variables, and we have to be extremely respectful about the kids and about, everybody and what's going on and what's happening, So the second stage is we meet with the families and we start the program together. So if the families are going to support them, what we do is we have a second workshop, which is the entrepreneurial workshop, in which we go, further down the road. So we start teaching them how to become entrepreneurs. So both them and their parents know exactly what it entails to become an entrepreneur. So that's extremely important for us. And after that we have already, the endorsement from the families. It can be the parents, it can be, the two tutors, whatever the situation might be. Then our volunteers track that, or coach this kid and their family into, how do we go from where they are today up until having their own business. It can be a service-based business, or it can be a product-based business. It can be, just to give you an examples of kids who are working on that. They still don't have a company, but they're working on that today. It can be kids, making different kinds of crafts with special minerals that they have in their areas. It can be kids that they just collect fruits, because we go very often to places where the nature is just gorgeous. It's just, they have this wealth of fruits and vegetables all over the place that you just have to go there and pick them up. Again, nature, as you know, is wise.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes, they are, touristic guides, kids that they say, hey, I know everything about this area. I know everything about this village. I know everything about these pyramids or whatever that is. And I can take you to a place, whatever that is, So those are just three examples. And so our volunteers make sure that they coach them, they go with them, they hold their hands until the point in which they not only provide their services, but also they have their company set up. And that's the stage where we are. So we are preparing several kids and their families or tutors to be in that place in which they can eventually launch. I mean, launch means setting up the business. There's obviously some costs involved, and obviously if you want to have your business set up in any country, that has to happen. So again, it takes some time, but we give them the ability to sell, which is our third workshop. Is we teach them to sell, how to sell. We think that this is one of the most important abilities for kids to be able to sell their products and their services. So as you see, it's like, for my entire life in the let's say in the for-profit world, I was like in business development roles internationally in all those countries, and that's exactly very humbly what I'm able to use today to help all those kids in all those areas.
You were called to do this. I truly believe that. And hearing you now, it's just like, it must have been, I can only imagine. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall during that experience back in, March of 2015, when you had that calling to go out there and for you to have that epiphany that, because we were sharing, and I have a brother that's multilingual. I mean, English first language. We grew up in San Diego, so Spanish he picked up like this. Foreign exchange, Germany. Then he goes off into the Asian world. I don't know how many languages he knows there. And then, he's actually lived for like taking sabbaticals in Barcelona. He loves Spain. He loves it. So, he's a world traveler with multilingual abilities. And then there's me, that I can hear the different dialects. I don't have any of those gifts, because I see it as a gift to be able to pick up that language, be able to do it in such a way, and then to have the skills that you have with the businesses. And a lot of credit, it sounds like, goes to your parents too, because they seem like they must have been pretty forward thinking in helping you to have opportunities, and you are now affecting people. Here it's in Latin America. Is this program ever going to be a worldwide program?
Well, thank you for the question. That's a great question. I have to tell you, I have really attracted the interest of many different countries in Africa. I mean, I've held conversations with I've had conversations with several government officials of 4 or 5 different countries in Africa, and in this case, it's more like helping the government to even help,
right?
Lower unemployment rates. Together with helping the kids, because obviously in those countries, I would say 99.999% of kids are living in underprivileged conditions.
Right.
So it's interesting, because in those countries, actually, the programs that we have developed and that we keep on developing in Latin America, or for Latin America, probably they're going to be also helping, communities of young men, not kids, but young men and
right.
young women in African countries. So that's probably that's well, I don't like to say hopefully, because it depends all on what I really want to do and what they really want to do, and let those government officials exactly. So it really depends on us, but absolutely. I mean, we are, again, we have at Wisdom for Kids, we have this insanity that it's all about numbers. We want to do things fast, and it's about numbers, and no matter what it takes, we're going to do it. That's why we set up that goal at the GoFundMe campaign. I remember when I was setting up the GoFundMe campaign after our marathon, and it was saying, hey, if you want to start, if you want to be really successful, just put 1,000 in the beginning, and then you can change it. But they said, oh no, that's sending the wrong message to the universe. I'm not going to do that. And actually, I have to say, I had, very good, donors. Just in the first 24 hours, we almost had $1,000. So now, we have so many things that we are deploying already, because it's all about the kids. It's all about the kids. It's all about how many kids we can be in front of. That's it. It's 81 million kids. 81 million kids. So it's all about the kids. How many kids do we want to be in front of? So as many as possible, and as soon as possible. That's who we are. That's what we do.
I love it. It's interesting listening to you, and I just feel like I should be sharing this. I grew up in a family, very mixed kind of family, but my step grandfather, he was retired, and then he volunteered with the university over in San Luis Obispo, Cal Poly. And for some reason, I'm thinking that you might want to check in with them, because they, at the time, he was over their foreign exchange program. And when I was a little girl, I had an opportunity to have dinner with some of these crown prince from Africa, because the way that the country would work, or those countries would work, is that they would send those, royalty, the young men, the royalty, over, and this is an agricultural school, so it was to try to find better and ways of being able to provide food for their country, right? And I'm thinking, if you can tap in to even them, you never know how you two could connect, because I'm sure they still have that program solidly going, because it's so important. And like you said, I love this lightning speed attitude, because there's no time like today, right? No time like today. How many lives? And your numbers are huge. And we need to make a difference in this world. There's too many people that are living in poverty. And we are lucky that for so many generations here in the United States, and where you definitely with your parents, and many people throughout the world, but not everyone, where they're taught that, hey, you've got it in here. You've got it in here. Go out there and make it happen. That's all you need. Everything else, you'll figure it out, right? Well, then there's so many that have gotten that, did not get that memo, did not get that message. And the fact that you're going out there and you're changing that dynamic, I just think the world of you. And your partners, don't know who they are, but thank you for coming up with this program, and having it be a process. That's what I like too, because it's something that you can have duplicatable throughout the world. It doesn't sound like it's going to be, rocket science here. It sounds like it's just a matter of going out there and doing it. And you are. So thank you so much. I have to share this picture because it's just adorable. You sent it over to me, and that's you, right?
Exactly.
What were you doing? Were you being a young entrepreneur and preparing the soil or plane, or what were you doing?
Exactly. So that's my favorite, childhood picture. My mom, when I was a kid, my mom, unfortunately, she was having a hard time, some hard time with her health. So every single summer, my mom and my dad would send me to my grandparents' ranch. Let's call it ranch. It has a different name in Spain, but it doesn't matter. So that's what I would spend. I spend most of my summers playing with my cousin. And so as you see, well, that's me with 4 years old, 4 years of age. And yeah, I mean, I was already like commanding something or carrying something, to do some work and to help my grandparent and my uncle and my aunt in the farm. They had animals, and, several, like, I don't know how many, maybe 30 or 40 different hectares. I don't know how many acres that is, but it's a huge acreage there. And, I always use that picture because it shows me like determined to do something, although I was still, I was sipping my, what is hanging out of my, I have this little necklace over there. Do you see what it is?
Yeah, I can only barely see it because the images are so small on my side, but I do see something. Yes.
The pacifier. The pacifier. Do you call it pacifier in English?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, actually, my daughter was the only one of my 4 kids that had one of those, and she called it a fasser.
Okay. So I actually also I like this picture. I mean, obviously, you would say as a parent, I'm not, or even as a kid, I'm not proud of using the pacifier up until 4 years old, 4 years of age, right? But I have to. I always like to have that picture also because that reminds me that was the first deal I ever cut with anybody. I cut the deal with my father. So he said, Angel, if you stop using the pacifier, I'm going to buy you an electric train. And so did he. So he bought me a train that was the first and actually last train I've ever had in my life. But it was so fun to play with it. But because I didn't want it gave me so much confidence, the pacifier, when you're a kid and you get stuck or you get bonded with something,
Right,
so that was in my case, it was giving me the self-confidence that probably I didn't have at that age. So I love that picture. It reminds me of my summers with my grandparents at the ranch. It's still in there. It's still in Spain, close to the Pyrenees in the north of Spain. It's a beautiful memory, and I like to share this picture all the time. Thank you.
I love this picture, and I love it even more. I knew that there had to be a story, and the story did not disappoint. I mean, I'm getting so much out of it, and you can see your character, and you can even see your nonprofit in that story. And to be doing deals at 4, yeah, you are a natural. You are a natural.
Thank
And
you.
then, okay, so in your day job, you actually have a TV show that is on a network that is international. I
That's it.
announced you as this international,
Thank you.
star. So
Thank
let's
you.
let's button it up by filling in, why it is that I said that. Tell us about
Thank
that.
you. You are very kind. So, also through a series of of coincidences and synchronicities, it was in 2013, 2012. I was still going to Mexico for work, and I met this amazing couple. They are called Alfredo and Eva, and they had just founded a nonprofit called Mindalia, MIND, like mind, and then Alia, Mindalia. And they founded it, and they were using all the money from their companies in order to fund Mindalia. And the main goal of Mindalia was to bring as many people as possible, that could help them raise the consciousness level of the planet. Okay, so that was the mission. Very easy. So they believe that anybody deserves a chance to be on Mindalia to share their story, because even if it's only one person watching and who is inspired by that message, and they can change the life of that person forever, that's enough. This is the founding principles. Actually, yes, in that picture that you just showed, Eva and Alfredo are there. Alfredo is wearing like a red jacket, and Eva is between Dawn and Judy, also wearing a pink orange.
Right,
So
right.
the founders
In fact, I've got another better picture for that. Okay,
exactly. So they are amazing individuals, that they do anything, to help humanity increase their consciousness level. So fast forward, just in 5 years, they are the number one online television network, number one in Spanish, that does this, that helps people increase their consciousness, helps people increase their human potential. They have almost 12,000 interviews, conference, and talks and workshops recorded on video. You just have to go to YouTube to watch them. 12,000. Okay, so it's easy to say 12,000. Okay, and they have almost, not right now, I mean, last week it was 975,000 people you subscribed to our YouTube channel, Mindalia. So we are going to hit the 1 million subscribers on YouTube really, really soon, probably like in a couple of weeks. So, earlier in the year, they came to the US. They told me, hey, Angel, would you like us to help us to launch the English channel of Mindalia TV? Would you like us even to bring, more wisdom people that have anything to say that can help people, both in Spanish and in English? Could you help us to launch Mindalia TV in English? And I said, of course. And, so that's what I do every single day. I conduct 1 or 2 interviews for Mindalia TV or Mindalia Television in Spanish. So if I can take the opportunity to, you're already invited, so you're soon going to be there with us.
Oh, well, thank you. I love it. That sounds like so much fun.
Oh, absolutely. And anybody else, I mean, really, that's who we are. We've interviewed people that nobody knew, that they just people, unknown people from their houses, that they just had that message that they wanted to share with humanity. And we said yes. And fast forward again, they are right now followed by hundreds of thousands of people, literal. I mean, this is the power of just a message that resonates with people, that goes into their hearts and helps people. Right. That's why it's so important what you do, Tamara. That it's so important that, every single message, every single smile, every single, vibration of beautiful energy that you send to the world is being well received, and it makes a footprint into some people and to humanity. And that cannot be erased. Nobody can erase the footprint that you make to people every day.
Well, thank you. That means a lot to me. It really does. I'm going to get teary here. And I try not to, but that, thank you. So, Angel, I want to thank you for being the service hero that you are. I want to thank you. Oh my gosh. I want to thank your parents, first of all. I want to go that far because, I really believe that in the family, I am such a family person. I believe that the dynamics of the family is so important. And let me say that I know that every family unit is not the traditional family unit. With that said, whatever that family unit is, it can be total love. It's like what Kim and I were talking about yesterday. And from there, your parents gave you such a foundation that you're then now taking this out to the world. And yes, a lot of it is you and your intellect and your natural abilities and God-given gifts, and you've called upon yourself to stand up and do what you feel inspired to do, and then you do it. Like, I love the fact, that you just do it. And then figure out later how to make it better, and that's what I think life is all about. It's not always perfect, and sometimes it's even messy, but that's where the fun can actually come. It keeps you wanting to show up, and you show up. And I can only imagine these families, and I love the fact that your program. I have one additional question because it's coming to me right now. How in the world is $9.99 enough to change a family from poverty to entrepreneurial?
Because of the power of our workshops.
Okay.
And because of, we stretch a penny like probably nobody else. We have this leverage of being in Latin America besides being here. The other two co-founders are in Mexico. We use every single negotiating power that we have, every single one, to ask for companies to help us. Okay? So there's two fold here, there's two sides. One is we really stretch everything that we do, all the resources that we use, and as much as we can and more.
Right.
And second, what we do is very unconventional. So the first 30 seconds, picture this, the first 30 seconds of our workshop is me or whoever is delivering the workshop jumping and dancing. So immediately you have 5, 10, 15 kids with their smiles, big smiles in their faces, in which they're doing something that they will never do again in their lives. When we deliver those workshops, let me tell you a very, very nice testimonial from one, but all the different community leaders, they say the same thing. Angel, unless you come here and you do it, these kids will never ever in their lives have the opportunity to learn what entrepreneurship means. So I, as a community leader, I have the responsibility with my community, with my kids who are the future of the community, to give them that. And they tell me, we've never heard of this. We've never heard this existed. We don't know who you guys are so crazy enough for free to come here to this indigenous community at the top of the mountain after driving 10 hours to do this. So when we go there and we deliver this workshop, that's what we are so absolutely so in tune with the kids. And we do, again, it's when we meditation is, sorry to extend myself a little bit, but meditation
please do. This is fascinating.
When we meditate, Tamara, I would love you to be there. When we meditate, you would say, okay, so these kids have never heard of meditation, obviously. They don't know what meditation is. Would you believe that only with very simple steps, they are meditating like more disciplined and more in tune with their higher self, with their higher selves than anybody else adult? It's just incredible.
Yeah, I can see that.
Kids are natural. As you said, kids are natural in meditating. It comes with them. It comes with all of us.
Right.
So when we start, after being, inspiring them and tuning with their energies for so long, and at the end, the last 20 minutes is this meditation. And we have this special music, these special affirmations, and they're so much, in tune with us and with our energy, that they say when we tell them to open their eyes after the meditation, they say, wow. Some said, we are traveling. We have been traveling. We have been in places that we've never been before. Oh my God, what an experience. It's just amazing. And again, those are kids that they've never been asked to meditate ever. So how do we know that? How can we possibly change the lives of those kids with $9.99? It's very simple. because we are all about energy all the time for those 2 hours. And our volunteers and the community leaders make sure that what we do with them stays with them. And, we monitor the effect, obviously. I mean, impact is everything. Impact is everything, So
Right.
obviously we want to improve. I mean, we spent almost 2 years. One of our co-founders is the master of the masters in he's written more than 70 books, textbooks, 70 textbooks in Latin America. That's the kind of guy that God sent us, so one of the co-founders.
Right. Right.
I mean, we really made sure that what we were going to do in those 2 hours was going to be completely disruptive, completely, and we last year, we proof tested everything. I mean, we piloted it. We made sure that we had to do it, that we were aligning with their kids, that we were, doing everything that we had to do in order to be with them. So, Tamara, anything is possible.
I agree.
Anything is possible.
Yes. Yes.
Anything. And when you have 5, 10, 15, 30 kids in front of you, so aligned and so in tune with what they love and what they see, that it can be an opportunity for them in their lives, and you reinforce the love and you reinforce the message that they are all good, that everything is fine, whatever is happening in their lives, it's all good, it's all for a reason, it's all positive, they are whole, they are complete. Sorry, I'm getting carried away here.
No, because you know what, you are motivating me to want to go and just like jump there with them, because at the bottom line I see right now, because this is what, when I'm talking to people and about even the whole idea of the Service Hero program, about the domino effect and how there is so much good out there. It just, we need this. And that's why I love the fact that your channel is doing what it's doing. And yes, those numbers are huge because we need to hear the good. Too much of if it bleeds, it leads. Let that go away. Let that be the old style of business, as the news and or message. The message now needs to be this message, the good, the energy, the disruptiveness, and that anything and all things are possible. And, I am seeing in my mind's eye right now, I am seeing these communities that over the next 10, 20, 30 years are not going to look anything like they are now. And you're not going to see those people jumping on the trains trying to get into another country, because their country is falling apart and it's going away, and it's dangerous because who is taking over? The thugs. That you start getting that positive energy in there, that entrepreneurial wisdom, because that entrepreneurial mindset is more than just business. It's life. It's a way of looking at life. And you are giving life skills to these families. And that is just absolutely beautiful. It's beautiful.
Absolutely. And, one of the things with self-esteem, we obviously work a lot with self-esteem because you never know, where those kids come from. Right. I mean, from a family perspective, from a social integration perspective. And we always tell them the same thing, but most of them already know, when I grow up, I want to be, they already know that. So one of the first things we tell them is, whatever you want to be, go for it.
Yeah, right. You can be. And exactly. That's probably the part that they didn't hear before.
Exactly. So it's all good. If you want to be a hairdresser, you're going to be an amazing hairdresser. If you want to be a police officer, you're going to be an amazing police officer. If you want to be a member, of the army, you're going to be an amazing member of the army. That's one thing I wanted to say. And another amazing ripple effect or consequence of what we're doing is we have received and we have already established a program of, people in the US that say, hey, we want my kids to know what the real world is about. Can you please take my kids with you? We're going to go with them, but could you please allow us to be with you? So we teach our kids what the real world is about. And let me tell you a personal story.
Yes.
I took one of my kids, I have 3 kids, I'm blessed with that. And I took my 9-year-old with me last year for Thanksgiving to a very, very, very underprivileged area in Mexico. Let's leave it like that. and it was raining, it was foggy, it was a very remote area. My son was so shocked. I mean, he lives in here. He had been in Mexico before, but in the touristic areas. When we got there, he collapsed emotionally. He said, "Daddy, I don't want to be here," and he started crying and crying and crying.
Right.
I mean, that's the power of what happens in reality. That's the reality of the world. You know, there's 45% of kids living in this kind of circumstances. So, and I said, "Hey, Angel," and his name is Angelet, little angel in Catalan language. I told him, "Angelet, hold on, just hang in here for a few more hours. As soon as we start talking to the kids and meeting with those kids and teaching the kids, and you are involved in delivering the workshop." And my kid was for an entire week last year teaching the kids entrepreneurship, helping us, handing out things, and that changed his life forever. So, again, that's another amazing ripple effect that we didn't think about.
Wait, let me share one thing. I mean, we keep going on, but this is another thing. I actually part of my whole thought of international. Back in the day, growing up in San Diego, we didn't have to have a passport to go over into Tijuana, right? So I never thought of going into Tijuana International because that was just part of what you did in San Diego. I grew up where we had a program called Bilingual Camp, and we had some of the kids that were handicapped from Mexico come up to our area, and we would be camp counselors with them. And then we would go down into their area and we would restore houses for them in their neighborhoods. And it was so eye-opening to me because so many things that we take for granted were things that they couldn't even imagine would be a part of their life. And I remember at a very young age feeling like, oh my gosh, we are so absolutely spoiled, just spoiled. And don't ever take anything for granted, and don't ever judge anyone because you don't know what those stories are. And I remember this also is that I kept thinking, the fact that we got to go in and restore floors or go in and actually work on these homes and then we saw those faces, and I'll never forget because we got to know these people. And I'm wondering right now, I wonder how they're doing. It's like I didn't follow up on the story, but I remember thinking at that time, man, we need to make a difference. And I am so glad that you're doing this. I can see because it goes back to what one of my advisors tells all the time. We're not a bake sale charity. We're not going to just say, oh, those poor people, and give them food and then go on. No, you need to teach them how to go out there and create the businesses and create the food, create the this and the that. And so that you don't have to keep coming back and touching that they are now going for it and they can make the change. And that's what you're doing. And that's a part of the piece of the puzzle that I think was missing, because you are taking it to the communities and taking it to them, where in the past, at least they had those programs that, yes, the Crown Prince was, came over and they were trying to, you got to give them credit. They were trying to make a difference, but you are actually going out there and you will change those communities with this program. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. I want to thank you for sharing this. I see it so clearly now. I had a vision, but I didn't see it so clearly. You are incredible. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for what you're doing. And I love the disruptive piece of it, and I love the jumping in activity. I see it. I want to jump now. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Jump and sing and see those smiles,
Right.
And I mean, you remember those kids. I mean, those kids live in houses have dirt. They live on dirt.
Right. Exactly.
They don't have tiles. They don't have carpet.
And here's these kids that were on crutches, or some of them didn't even have the crutches. Some of them were dragging themselves, and that. And of course, part of our program was to make sure that they had what they needed. But to think that that's how they live, and so many do throughout the world, and we just take it for granted. We feel underprivileged if we don't have this or the greatest of that or the newest of the, and so I am so glad that we're sharing this. How can people, what I would love to do is when we're done, will you go into the comment area for me, and will you put information on how people can get a hold of you if they're inspired by you and by the program that you're doing, and they want to get involved, volunteer, and whatever it may be, or maybe they know community that you should, that they would like to get on your list, whatever it may be. Will you go in there and share that information for me?
Absolutely. I will definitely do that. And Tamara, I mean, thank you very much for the opportunity. Every time that you ask me a question, every time that you allow me to express my passion for our kids and for what we do. So, I as I said before, and I was really, as you know, I really mean it. We are really grateful at Wisdom for Kids for having us here today, for allowing us to share this with your amazing audience, because I follow you. Thank you, Sharon. I follow you and I know what you do. And then obviously, thank you. I also thank amazing Kim O'Neill for introducing me to you. And, Wisdom for Kids is your home. So, whenever you want to join us, you want to be with us, it'll be a big pleasure for us. Thank you very much.
I'm going to get my passport. I don't have one yet. So
okay.
I'm going to get a passport, and I'm going to take you up on that, because I would love to go down there and inspire with you and see these kids, because it's bringing back memories of my childhood or my teen years, and I loved it, that period in my life. And so thank you for that invitation. Well, as we close day number 109 of 365 Days of Awesome, Celebrate Success Through Service, Angel, I want to thank you for this amazing program that you and your co-founders have put together to help change the face of how this world is going to look, by bringing the entrepreneurial spirit to kids and families throughout the world that need these tools. And a heart like yours is exactly what is needed. And I can only imagine those other two are just like you. And so I want to thank your partners also, and just keep up the good work. And I will be more than happy to go and do anything I can. And then as we close the show, again, if you feel inspired as I do with what Angel has shared, let him know. Share it with others that you think, okay, there's a lot of people here in the United States. There's a lot of people throughout the world that have family in that area, that possibly lived in those areas, and they want to give back, but they haven't known how. Well, here's an avenue that they can then travel down with Angel and his organization to make a difference. So let's do this. Let's share the love, guys. Let's do, each one of us has a service hero inside of us, and let's have those service heroes get out there in abundance, and get out there in our crowds, and get out as a movement and make a difference in a young child's life, because you're going to help the world become a better place. And that, there's no better legacy that you can have than that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tamara. It's been a pleasure and an honor to be here.
I'm going to say goodbye to you, and I'm going to say goodbye to everyone else, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.